Yeah, welcome to Point channel. So today I will discuss about differences between soap versus rest. Yeah, so this is a popular interview question. Okay, so so first difference is so what is soap, what is REST? Okay, so soap in the sense a simple object access protocol. So basically it's a protocol. Okay, so REST stands for representational state transfer. So this is not a protocol. This is an architectural style. Here you can see in the second point, soap is a protocol, whereas REST is an architectural style or design. You can say. Okay, so SOAP uses WSDL in the sense WSDL file, web services description language. Basically, if you open that file, WSDL file, you will find all the information about your SOAP web services. What are the methods? What are the method parameters and their data types? Blah blah blah. So basically, to once you finish the development of your SOAP web services, so you will produce the WSDL file and you will hand it over to all the clients. So I mean to say, then clients will make use of your WSDL file and they will start communicating with your SOAP web services. So I mean, so whereas coming to the REST, so REST uses WADL, web application description language, earlier to document the web services. Okay, and yeah, now of course we have a Swagger endpoint. So once you finish the RESTful web services, so uh, we have a provision to what you say document all our web services in the form of a Swagger URL. Okay, so then, we will simply give our Swagger endpoint to all other teams or other developers or other testers. So they will simply open that Swagger endpoint. There they can identify all our developed web services, the example request bodies, example response, everything will be documented in the Swagger endpoint. Okay. So now other difference, fourth one, SOAP uses the service interfaces, for example, at the rate web service to expose its business logic. So whatever your key business logic you want to expose as a web service, so that one you are supposed to annotate with at the rate web service. This is a service interface, right? Now, whereas in the case of REST, basically REST uses the URI concept. URI in the sense this one uniform resource identifier, so that with the help of at the rate path, so just you need to give at the rate path, some in brackets you need to give some slash some path API slash v1 slash blah blah blah, right? So with that path, clients will identify your business logic. Okay, so then fifth point, so SOAP follows the JAX WS API. So basically Java EE framework, okay. Um, so it has given so many specifications. So out of them, JAX WS, so Java API for XML based web services. So SOAP follows this particular specification. Okay, whereas REST follows JAX RS. JAX RS in the sense Java API for RESTful web services. Okay. So SOAP requires more bandwidth. Okay, why SOAP requires more bandwidth in the sense? So basically, SOAP uses the XML based message format. So whenever SOAP sends the message, so that message consists of it's kind of a envelope. So inside that envelope, so message header, message body will be there. So even if you want to send a small city name also, you need to have a very big message with what you say XML schema, message header, message body, everything. So whereas in the case of REST, REST requires a less bandwidth. Why? Because mostly REST uses the JSON data format, which is very lightweight JavaScript object notation. Okay. Yeah. The next difference here is SOAP defines a very strict contract agreement between the client and server. So SOAP defines, too many standards. So whenever client files a request, So server imposes, standards like, you are supposed to pass so and so parameters only, so and so, what you say, headers you are supposed to pass. So these kind of restrictions are there. But whereas in the case of REST, so REST does not impose those many strict standards. However, REST has defined six design principles. So, client server architecture, stateless and cacheable and layered system and uniform interface and code on demand. Okay. So I have given enough explanation about these six design principles in my other videos. So please refer those videos. I will provide in my description box link. So yeah. So other differences, SOAP cannot use the REST. Why? Why? Because SOAP is a basically protocol. REST is an architectural style, right? So obviously SOAP cannot make use of REST. But whereas REST can make use of the SOAP protocol. Well, because REST is an architectural style, it can make use of any protocol, right? Yeah. Next point. So SOAP allows XML data format only. Yeah. So in order to communicate between client and server, so they will communicate with each other in the form of this XML data format only. But whereas in the case of REST, so REST can use different data formats. So for example, out of them, few data formats are plain text, XML, JSON, and HTML. So REST supports many MIME types, data formats. Okay. Yeah. So coming to security, yeah, security is the key difference between these two. Web services. So SOAP supports point-to-point security through SSL. Point-to-point security in the sense, on the way. So when a client files a request, and so the request will be fully secured until it reaches to the server, right? So that is a point to point. So it is completely secured with the help of SSL, secured socket layer. Internally, it make use of this HTTPS protocol. Okay, so not only that, once the request reaches to the server, and again from that point also, SOAP internally maintains its own security, that is a WS security, you know. So then that particular WS security uses, XML encryption, XML signatures, okay, and SAML tokens to deal with this transaction-based messaging security. So yeah, for example, your business logic consists of some ACID compliance transactions. Okay, so that's why SOAP has introduced its own WS security to handle all these things, even in your business logic also. Okay. But whereas in the case of REST takes care of, security, only point-to-point communication. That means once the client files a request, so REST will take care of the security until it reaches to the server. That's it. So once it reaches to the server, then programmer needs to write additional code to maintain the security afterwards. Okay. So yeah, so REST also uses SSL with the help of HTTPS. Okay, yeah. So the next one, so in order to test these SOAP web services, mostly we use SOAP UI tool. Okay, yeah. In the case of RESTful web services, mostly we use Postman for testing purpose. Okay, so yeah, so both SOAP and REST are stateless only. Okay, but however, we can what you say, made SOAP services as stateful also. Right? Stateless and stateful. So stateless in the sense, client has to incorporate full information in each and every request to the server. Why? Because server is not at all aware of any information about its previous request. So with respect to the server, each and every request is a new request kind of thing. So server will analyze the data which is sent by the client in the so then only server will understand, okay, what I'm supposed to do, something like that. Yeah. But whereas the case of stateful, so I mean so server, server will understand the, what you say, so what was the previous request sent by the client, so what is the now current request, so what is the connectivity between these two requests, so that server will remember few points about the client. So that's a beauty of stateful, in the case of so shopping cart website. So obviously we add all the items to the cart, so when you go to the payment page, so still there also so server will remember all your added cart items, right? So something like that. Okay. So, yeah, the next point. So, yeah, SOAP is used mainly, as I said, in the case of payment gateways where your what you say security is a crucial part. Okay, whereas this REST is used in the case of some social websites or public websites. Okay, where the security is a bit low priority, or it's not the issue or something like that. Okay. So SOAP responses, you cannot cache the SOAP responses, but whereas in the case of a RESTful REST, so REST can cache the response. So for example, you have some get endpoint in the case of REST. Okay, so server, whenever server is returning the response back to the client, so there the server can specify, yes, this is a cacheable or not. Yes, if it is cacheable, how long it can be cacheable at the client side. So all that information, server will incorporate while sending the response back to the client, right? So for example, some get calls are there. So in case if it is cacheable, so client whenever it finds a request, happily it will pick that response from the cache itself. It will never fire the request to back to the server. So that's the beauty of cache. Yeah, because of the cache, obviously performance will be improved. Okay. Uh, yeah, so few more the differences, So SOAP works over HTTP and HTTPS and SMTP and XMPP. So all these are the protocols. Okay. So REST mostly uses HTTP and HTTPS. Okay. So basically, SOAP is designed for large enterprise applications. Okay. So REST is designed mostly for the mobile devices usage. Okay. uh, yeah, so the popular implementations of JAX WS API, which is used in the case of SOAP web services, so, Metro and Apache Access 2 and Apache CXF are the popular implementations of JAX WS API. Whereas in the case of REST, JC is a very famous framework. So JC and REST-easy and RESTlet and Apache CXF. So these are all the popular implementations of JAX RS API. Okay. Yeah. So these are the what do you say main differences between the SOAP and REST. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, that's it. Yeah. If you like my video, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.